The hill is called Golgotha, Skull Place. You'd think it was named after the shape of the rock, but standing here, feeling the breath of death in the wind, it's not hard to imagine how many dreams died here, how many mothers screamed here, how many bodies broke here, splintered against wood and pride and politics. And now it's his turn. You watch them lay him down, not gently, not with reverence, like he's cargo, not a king. The Roman soldiers are numb, their hands practiced, hammer, nail flesh. The sounds crack the silence like thunder, and he doesn't scream, not like you would, he just looks up, bleeding, bones grinding, lungs tightening, and he says, "Father, forgive them, they don't know what they're doing." You almost laugh, because who does that? Who's nailed to wood and chooses compassion over cursing? Even now, even dying, he's still giving, still loving, still being him. Around you, the crowd is a mess of moods. Some are mocking, some are mourning. Some, like you, just stand there frozen, watching the sky change color, because it's happening. This isn't metaphor anymore. It's blood-soaked, sweat-stained reality. One criminal beside him snarls, the other pleads, and Jesus promises paradise with his last breath to someone society wrote off as lost. And that's the twist. No one is too far gone, not thieves, not traitors, not even you. Historians will tell you crucifixion was designed to stretch death out, hours or even days. But this day, time bends, clouds boil, earth quakes, and as he gasps, "It is finished," the temple curtain, a wall of thick fabric, tears in two, top to bottom, like heaven ripped the barrier apart. And if you listen close, you swear the wind sighs relief. Now comes the stillness, the kind that soaks deep. Joseph of Arimathea, wealthy but quiet, steps forward. Not a disciple by name, but by heart. He asks for the body, wraps it, lays it in a new tomb, his own. Maybe because he understands that real power isn't loud, it's generous. Here's something you probably didn't know. Tombs were family affairs, meant to hold generations. But Joseph gives up his for someone else's future. For 3 days, everything freezes. Hope is buried. You wander the city like a ghost. People whisper. Doors shut. The same disciples who said they'd die with him are now nowhere to be seen. Even Peter, loudmouth Braveheart, denies him 3 times before the rooster cries truth. And still, you wait, because something inside you won't let go. It's not logic, it's love. And on the 3rd day, you wake up early. The sun hasn't even stretched yet. You follow the women to the tomb, Mary, Joanna, Salome, carrying spices and sadness. Their grief feels familiar, like the ache of unanswered prayers and unopened letters. But when they get there, the stone's gone, rolled away like it weighed nothing. And inside, nothing, just linen, just light. Your heart skips, not because the body's missing, but because the promise isn't. 2 men, angels probably, though you can't prove it, say, "Why do you look for the living among the dead?" And suddenly everything flips. He told you this would happen over and over, but you never really heard it until now. You run, not out of fear, but fire. He's alive, alive, and not in some spiritual, metaphorical, he lives in our hearts kind. Of way, alive, alive, touch his scars alive, break bread alive, walk through locked doors just to find you alive. That changes things, not just in history, but in you. Because if death couldn't keep him, then maybe fear can't keep you, maybe guilt can't chain you, maybe shame isn't your name anymore, and the world. It still spins, still aches, but now it pulses with possibility. Because resurrection isn't just an event, it's a pattern, a rhythm. Fall, rise, and the same spirit that breathed life back into a crucified carpenter now whispers into your dust, "Get up." You don't need to understand it all, you just need to walk it out. So you do, limping, yes, but not. Lost because now you know. The end of the story was never the end. It was just the beginning. The road back to Galilee is long, dusty, unremarkable. The kind of road you've walked 100 times, but now every step feels like resurrection is humming in your heels. The others are still stunned, still whispering. Some dare to hope, others don't yet know what to do with themselves, but you feel it, like the world's gone from grayscale to full color overnight. Jesus appears not in a grand explosion of fire and trumpets, but over breakfast. That's right. He cooks fish on a beach with the smell of salt water in the air and ashes on the shore. You blink because the last time you saw him he was bleeding and broken, and now he's flipping fish like a dad at a family barbecue, only he's not just feeding stomachs, he's feeding shame, because Peter's there. Peter, the denier, Peter the proud, and Jesus doesn't scold him, he invites him to breakfast. 3 questions. Do you love me? You feel the question land in your own heart, not just for Peter, for you. For every time you've denied him, not in words, but in silence, every moment you've turned away, thinking you weren't enough, he doesn't need your perfection. Just your yes over and over. Here's something odd the Gospels barely explain. Jesus appears to over 500 people after the resurrection. Not just the 12, not just the faithful, to many. People you wouldn't expect. It's almost like he's telling the world, this isn't a secret for the elite. It's for everyone, even the doubters, yes, even Thomas. You remember him, the one who said he wouldn't believe unless he touched the wounds himself. And Jesus doesn't shame him. He shows up, extends his hands, says, here, see for yourself. Because doubt isn't the opposite of faith. It's the soil where faith often grows. The story spreads through alleys and temples, over rooftops and deserts. But Rome? Oh, Rome's still watching, still clenching its fists. They thought killing him would quiet things. It didn't. It amplified them. You start to hear words like the way. Not a religion, not yet, just a path, a pattern. People who live like Jesus did, breaking bread, washing feet, healing wounds, loving enemies. The kind of people who'd rather lose in love than win in violence. One night you're in a gathering, dim lights, hands held, prayers whispered like secrets, and someone reads aloud from a letter that's circulating. Love is patient, love is kind. You exhale, because you've never seen that written down before, but you've seen it in him, and now, somehow, in you. But don't get it twisted. This new way isn't safe, not for your comfort, not for your ego, not for your status, following Jesus now. It means risking your life because emperors don't like competition and Caesar is used to being worshipped. Here's a little known detail. In the Roman Empire, calling someone Lord was a political act. Caesar was Lord. So when you call Jesus Lord, you're not just making a spiritual statement, you're making a rebellious one. That's why followers start disappearing, thrown to lions, burned in gardens, imprisoned in silence. But still, they sing, not always out loud, but inside. Because once you've seen a man rise from the dead, fear doesn't get the last word anymore. You remember Paul. He wasn't always Paul. Used to be Saul, zealous, angry, religious to the bone. Thought he was doing God a favor by hunting Christians. Until that blinding light, that voice, that sudden knowing that everything he stood on was sinking sand, he went blind so he could finally see. Funny how that works. He becomes the loudest voice for grace, writes letters from prison that outlive empires, words that find you centuries later, scribbled on scraps, whispered in hospital rooms, tattooed on hearts. Nothing can separate us from the love of God, not death, not failure, not even your own past. That's the wild thing. Jesus doesn't erase your past. He redeems it, twists it into a story you never saw coming. And you're part of it now. Your life isn't just yours anymore. You carry a name, spirit, a light that no grave can hold down. So you keep walking, not because it's easy, but because it's true. Because this road, dusty and cracked, leads somewhere holy. Even if no one else sees it yet. Even if you're still limping. Even if sometimes you wonder. Because here's what you've learned. Faith isn't about having all the answers. It's about walking with the one who is. And tonight, under these quiet stars, as you pull your cloak tighter and feel the night settle in your bones, you whisper, still with me. And in the silence that follows, something sacred echoes back, always.